Hello, everybody, and happy late night and good evening to all the WWE Universe tonight. We're going to recap this NXT show. I got my guys here, Mundo, Mr. AKA, and Mr. Shane, two times the money man, Mac. Let's get to it tonight. We're going to start off with this women's battle royal that we just literally finished watching, and it displayed 20 of the next women that are coming up in the WWE. Great action throughout. The women that had to get eliminated got eliminated. It was good to see some new beef coming upon it. And at the same time, that fatal four way was gangster, in my words. It was really good. I didn't think Roxanne was going to win because I was saying last week that, you know, she was kind of pushed back and everything. She shouldn't have been in that round where she first got the championship and took it away from her. I think this is just, you know, payback for hard work over the past year. You know, Now getting into it, what do you guys think of that Rumble and that fatal four way starting off with Mr. Dollar Signs, Shane O'Mac?
What's good? What's good? What's poppin', y'all? What's going on? Happy Tuesday to you all. Happy Tuesday to the fellas that's sitting next to me at the table. We are so good to have you all here. And to my man, Jay, my dude, Jay, let me give you your bells, man, because today, what a show we had today, huh? What a show. And that last match, that 20 Women's Battle Royal, which went into a fatal four way, let me tell you something. That was one of the most best women's that was one of the best women's wrestling I have seen in a long time. And that fatal four way, they were going in. I mean, they were going in hard in a PLE/slash pay per view fashion. Congratulations to Roxanne Perez for she wins and she is going for that title. But I have this quick question. That name sounds familiar. I'm not really too familiar with the NXT, but her name sounds familiar. Isn't she like connected with Booker T or something, number one? And number two, wasn't she a women's champion at one point, Jay?
Yeah, she's really connected with Booker T because she was basically in his federation training when she was like 16, 17 years old. And yeah, she became champ too quick. She was basically the filler after Mandy Rose got the boot, more or less. That is,
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Happy Tuesday, like my guy Shane said. Um, I'm just impressed, very, very impressed with tonight's episode of NXT. Um, we got 6 matches tonight. Three of them really stood out to me. One of them was the women's battle royal that turned into a fatal four way. For one, I like the concept of having a battle royal and getting right to the fatal four way. That's pretty cool. Um, so I like the innovation of NXT, and that was very cool. The winner of the match, Roxanne Perez, who I'm familiar with, because again, her street fight that she had a few months ago on an NXT pay per view really stands out to me, and she's tough. She's a tough competitor, and I think right now is the perfect time for her to go against, excuse me, Valkyrie. Yeah, the women's champion. I think it's the perfect time for them to go one on one. But I'm just overall impressed and just enamored by the talent, the women's talent in NXT. I've seen week to week that they are featured a lot on NXT. It's very women's uh, match heavy on NXT, but it's for a reason because they have an incredible women's division, and it's a shame that they had to merge the NXT Women's Championships with the WWE Women's Championships because they really need to have a secondary belt for NXT Women's because they do a hell of a job. So that's my take on that match and just the women overall. Very, very impressed. Great job, ladies. Great job.
yeah, y'all guys couldn't have put it any better. It was definitely, great. And, as I was telling you guys yesterday and probably early on today, I was excited for this women's rumble because the future is here for them. And I've been crying and begging for like a women's night one day in the future where, we get an hour, maybe a 2 hour show and all the women can get displayed wrestling from top to bottom. And yes, I would love to see a women's intercontinental champion, a women's US, or even a North American women's title as well. I appreciate your guys' answers on it. And, we could go now to the beginning, which I missed some of, but I got into it. And it was the Trick Mello, followed, against Enofe and his boy. To me, that match was great as well. Finally, those two guys, Idris and Enofe, finally got to show some of their skills. That Spanish fly in the air was A1 perfect. And, with Trick, as much as I love Trick, he keeps on reminding me every week of Booker T. The moves, the bookend, he's on point with everything. And, I don't want him to get distracted and he's already in that phase where he seems like Melo is just saying whatever and Trick is just agreeing, like, okay, fine, yeah, you know, and I want Trick to get his. He deserves it. You know, what do you guys think about that match and how it went? Mundo is on you.
Well, like I said, out of the 6 matches that we got tonight on NXT, 3 of them stood out to me. One of them was the women's battle royal / fatal 4-way. And the other one, well, the other one of the 2 or the 3 was the first match that we got of the night, which was Trick Mello versus Blade and Idris. Um, that match, man, that match started out very fast paced. I mean, it was I forget it was Trick, excuse me, it was Mello and I believe Idris who started the match, and they were just going move for move, move for move, block for block, and it ended in a stalemate where the fans had to clap it up because it was like wow, and even Booker T was like, whoa, this pace is like this is a track meet, and it's really high flying, everything that you could want in the match. I can say Trick and Mello, they were on the same page. There was no type of anything. Like it was just straight up, we're here to do a job. We're here to get the match won. And it was beautiful to watch. But then on the other end, because I've only heard negative things about Blade and Idris, they put up a fight. They put up a fight. And it was maybe their coming out party as well as a team because people haven't been seeing much of them because they made note of it as well in the broadcast that, that they haven't really done much in the last 2 years. So they showed out tonight. Um, and just on a real note, after what we saw on SmackDown, where the match had to end between Mello and Theory, because they got hurt, Mello looked really good. He didn't look like had anything severely wrong with him from the injury that from the incident that happened on SmackDown. He looked good, really good. And overall, like I said, it was a great match. I would say out of 5 stars, I'll give that one a 4 out of 5. And Shane, my man, you can take over from there.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you say, man. That was an awesome match, and I will give credit to and give a shout out to Idris and Blade for they did what I thought was an amazing performance. I've never seen these guys fight before, but last week I remember they did like a backstage interview, and for some reason they gave off like this, I don't know, like this cocky attitude or something that really turned me off, and I was like, okay, you know, I have high expectations for these guys because if you're going to talk shit, you better bring it. And they did. They brought it out tonight, and I was real impressed. And Mello and Trick, there's something that is really going on between these two. I mean, even Vic Joseph said himself, Trick is outperforming Mello. And then Booker T was like, whoa, hey. And even for Vic to say that, he saw that there was something going on in that match. And can you imagine if he were to get a win, if Mello got a win of what Vic Joseph said, that would really like get him even more into that position that he is. I'm trying to explain like what I'm seeing because it seems to me that Mello is like he's inches away of doing something that is just going to blow up. And I am just waiting for that moment where he does something huge and then he's able to go on the mic and then explain everything. That's the moment I'm waiting for. But in terms of tonight for this match, it was a damn good match. It was fast, it was quick, it was powerful. There were a lot of wow moments and give it up to Idris and Blade, they did a fantastic job, and you have to because we're going for the classics here. So this is not just a regular tag team match. This is for the gold. So they had to do their thing, and so did Trick and Mello. So the question is, moving forward, how in sync, a little bit of sync, or not in sync at all, will Trick and Mello be? Because let's remember, they're fighting LWO for the next fight, for the next round.
I just wanted to also mention something. Because Shane, you saw this with me because NXT came on like a Raw or SmackDown without the pyro, and it came on with Trick and Mello entering the arena. And at first, it was Trick's theme song that was on, so the crowd was going crazy and whooped that Trick, and Booker T was like, "Oh yeah, man!" And then it flowed out back into into Mello's song, and then it was like a party pooper, and Booker T was like, "Oh man, what's that? No." He said, "It just doesn't vibe. It doesn't have the same thing." And then it went back into Trick's song, and then everybody got hype again. And it was like, I think stuff like that is hilarious because it adds little layers to the story. But Shane, the way that you're laughing, you saw what I saw basically. It was like everybody's partying with Trick, and then Mellow song comes on, and everyone's like, "Oh, come on!" And then everybody's partying with Trick again, and like Booker T was just hilarious in that spot because Vic is just like, "Well, you don't think Mellow's song is good too?" He was like, "No, it doesn't vibe. It just doesn't have that vibe, man." And so I just had to make sure I put that in to this first match and this segment that we had. So after that, my brother Jay, back to you.
Wow, thanks for the insight on that. I definitely missed that part. Oh man, I would have probably died laughing myself on that. No, because you know me with Trick. That boy gets everybody hyped. It feels
Jay,
like, talk to me.
Jay, imagine Booker T in the middle of doing his whole thing. I like it. Oh yeah, man! Like he's doing that, and then the song just switches. So he was like, "What?" He's like, "No, bro." That was hilarious, man.
Oh man.
Too funny. I wish you was able to see it. Hopefully, they'll put it up on the internet so you can check that out.
Listen, see, and I really love Booker T being on NXT. A lot of people were judging his critique when he first got down there, but people had to look at it from within. He's the talent evaluator, similar to how Prince Albert was back then, as a talent evaluator going back there to the PC. And Booker has a great eye for talent. So, we can imagine other guys that he's working with, wink, wink, in his federation. He's already brought Roxanne. We know who's going to probably be next. Will probably be a member of the bloodline. So, me, I'm a fan of Booker T. And it would have been great. It would be great one day if he could do the spin-a-rooney with Trick Williams in the ring while that song is playing. That would make my day. But moving on, the next match, we're going to skip over the Dijak talking to Bear Hill in the back and go to the women's tag team match, which featured Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley versus Lola Weiss and Elektra Lopez. Now,
Um,
that match, yeah,
Jay, and
yes.
because of the fact that you missed the beginning of the show, there was one more thing that happened before that.
What was that?
That was a promo that was with the North American champion Oba Femi.
How did that go?
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I
No,
was
no, I
just making.
asked no.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead, let me know.
So he came down to the ring, strutting all happy and stuff like that because he won the belt, and he was like, it was it was prophesized from the day he was born that he was going to be greatness and a champion and all that stuff. And then Dragon Lee came out.
Mm.
Dragon Lee came out, and he was like, congratulations, you're champion, all this other good stuff. And then he was like, I would like to challenge you to a championship match tonight because I guess they had they had an open challenge for the North American Championship at one point. And Oba said no. He was like, no. So then Dragon Lee got pissed off and was like, well, I want to challenge you to a championship rematch that I earned and deserve at Vengeance Day. And
Ooh.
yeah, he got all up in his face too. And then Oba was like, well, that North American Open challenge, it's over now. It's no more. He was like, it's done. And he said, as far as that rematch for Vengeance Day, he said, I'll think about it. And he just walked off and left the ring. So we might have something brewing here between the two of them. I think that they would have a great match because I just think from what we've gotten from Dragon Lee on the main roster, he's a talent there. But Yeah, I just wanted to just put you onto that, bro. But that was a pretty good segment right there. I mean, we had thousands of them, but this was a good one that I had to write down. I'm just saying. Back to you.
Okay. Now, where we was leaving off at was with the women's tag match with Lyra Valkyria and Paxley versus Lola and Elektra. That match was pretty decent. You know, both like Lola Vice and Elektra were putting on some crazy moves. Then Paxley came out with some wild stuff too, but she was basically wearing the same outfit as Lyra. And I didn't really like too much from what I saw from Lyra tonight. It seemed like it was more of a display to show off Lola and how strong she is based on the fact that she's the number one contender or the Money in the Bank lady. So I could say it was kudos to them on winning the match, and we kind of saw during that match as well that they were not on the same page, Lola and Elektra, because it led off to them two fighting outside at the Rumble when it happened. So I'm thinking, them two are gonna get it on. But my whole thing was, Elektra, she should have been on the main roster only because she was the manager of Legado del Fantasma with Joaquin Wild and Santos and all of them. So it's like, I really thought that she was going to be more of a primetime player in the game, and she's not. Seems like Lola already took her spot already over because Lola is more of a martial arts UFC type of fighter when she's in the ring. You know, what do your guys take on that match with the women? Shane McMahon, hit us.
Well, honestly, I had my Pornhub eyes on, so it was focused on Lola and Electra from a Pornhub point of view. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But shout out to them because they are very attractive women. It was a good match, and it was interesting how Paxley and how you call her Lyra, how they won. It was very interesting because of a kick from the other girl, and it like pinned. You understand what I'm trying to say, Des? Like I'm sure Des would explain it better, but that was the reason why Paxley and Lyra won was because of a botch move from Vice and Lopez. I mean, it was a good match. It was a good match, and it was a shocking old snap ending. And once again, shout out to Vice and Lopez. Round round.
Okay, round. Nah, but just to give a little backstory, prior to the match, in one of the thousands of backstage promos we had tonight, Lola and Elektra were backstage talking about being in the Battle Royal, and they were saying that they were going to be a part of the Final Four, and then at the last second, out of nowhere, Miss Tatum appeared behind a door. She pulled the screen up behind the door. It was like, "Oh, you're not going to win because I'm going to win, and nobody will face my champion for her belt." And it was like some weird nonsense. But then it played into the fact that she dressed exactly alike as Lyra. This was so weird. But I'm not too familiar with Tatum's, her character, so I don't know where they're going with that or what the point of that is. But I, for one, think that eventually that's going to lead into the two of them getting into a feud down the road. But anyway, yeah, as Shane said, it was a weird ending to the match because Tatum had, I believe that was Lola, down for a count, and then Elektra stopped the count, but Lola never recovered. She was still down and out, and Elektra was about to kick Lyra, but Tatum took the kick for her, basically was knocked out, and fell on top of Lola, and still wound up getting a 3 count, which was like, what? Like, that's a crazy. Whoever came up with that is just like, okay, that's different. But it was funny. Like I said, out of the 6 matches, I had 3 top ones. This wasn't one of them for me, um, only because of the clankiness of the match itself, you know. But overall, it did what it was supposed to do. It basically led you into the whole situation with Lola and Elektra that happened in the Battle Royal, where I can say, I'll say, they were getting it in. The two of them, they were getting it in, like they hated each other all of a sudden. Like I was like, wow, okay, because even the crowd was going crazy on that one. I'm like, okay, ladies. But Jay, I do want to make mention of something. because you always talk about how Triple H has these basketball names. Tatum is another one of those. I don't know if you ever mentioned it before, but Jason Tatum, you know, just,
I just peeped that.
yeah, just you know. As soon as I heard the name, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I thought about you. I was like, "I gotta mention that to you." But yeah, that's my take on that match. But I just wanted to leave that last thing with you about Tatum.
Yeah. Oh man, thank God for bringing that up because we was talking about that last week and all the names that were going on as far as sports wise for us. Hey, let's not forget Kiana James. Wink, wink. Yeah, she's another one.
Right, Kalani
So
Jordan.
Kalani, another Jordan. We getting names from like just sports itself and entertainment, which is
Yeah,
cool. We can only wonder who's next. Is there a Kobe out there? A Bryant? but 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 like going into the next segment right after that match was Trick and Mello talking about winning the tag champions, and here comes Mr. Champ himself, drag it off, and he told Trick, "Look, I'm clear and I'm ready, ready to fight, and you deserve your shot as soon as possible." So he offered him the title shot at Vengeance. And as he's telling him that, you could see Mello's face like, oh my God, why? Like, you could see that his master plan is not going the way it wants to, as far as Mello. So, Mello is telling Trick, just focus on the tag team matches. A match that we got, coming ahead and the championships. And, Trick is like, bro, I could win this. I could be two belt Trick or Grand Slam Trick. We could both be Grand Slams on the same night. And he said, imagine that. So I hope the best for them, but I just don't want, I don't, I want them with momentum going into this vengeance because I for one, I want Trick to be the champ. I don't want them to stunt his growth by winning the tag team championships. I don't see him as one of those type of guys. And the same thing with Mello. We don't see him as a tag champion because we've only seen him with big belts. You know, so let's see what happens later on in the next couple of weeks leading into Vengeance and how they do. And then like literally right after all of that talk happened, we got a fight between Ridge the Fridge and Joe Iceman Coffee. That was very hard hitting. I loved what I seen from Ridge because Ridge displayed crazy clothesline power that we ain't see from him when he was fighting with the Brutes. He brought a little extra oomph. And with Joe Coffey is just one of those guys that he's always going to bring his A game. He's going to do what he do in the ring as far as everything. Like it was the perfect matchup between the two because they were both NXT UK competitors as well that really didn't get shine. And now we're kind of seeing you know what we needed to see out of those two guys. And I'm happy that they actually broke the Brawl and Bruce to see so they could show us what Ridge is about because we had no clue who he could be as a singles competitor. You feel me? And then like right after that match, Dallas decides to jump Ridge, and they looking around as if someone was supposed to come out and help Ridge. But Ridge has broken ties with his boys to the point where now you're in a locker room full of people that ain't gonna mess with you now. So you're on your own. You feel me? Guys, what do you think about that match? Mr. McMahon, you could do your thing.
Good old fashioned wrestling. Just two big ass meaty men going head to head, clothesline to clothesline, punch to punch. And at the end, Holland wins, stands at the top of the mountain. So all I got to say about that, it was just a simple, quick, heavy hitting match. And I'm glad that it happened. Very good match.
I already stated how I felt about Ridge last week. So regardless of who his opponent is, I stand with what I said last week. I actually wrote in this segment, yawn. I don't care about Ridge. I don't care about his story. And I'm sticking to that. And to me, the best part of the match was at the end when they kicked his ass. So that's all I got to say about this.
He wild, Des.
The shade.
You don't like Ridge the Fridge? Oh my God.
No,
Oh man. He's like the male Natalia for you.
no, Natalia is my enemy because of the fact that the good people that got their jobs lost. while she was still skating around doing shit in the background. That's why I have a gripe with her. Ridge, I don't think it's cool that he accepted a storyline where he's looked at as somebody that hurts people when he actually does hurt people. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's creative at all. And that's my gripe with him. And like I said, he's going to eventually get lost in the shuffle with NXT and he will be gone.
You definitely are right. That's why I'm more or less like, this was a time to give him some shine and see what he can do. And I like what I saw as far as the power display between him and Coffee. I just don't know, like as you say, is he really a primetime guy in NXT or even in the main roster? I
Would
don't
you
really, we don't.
would either one of you guys want to see him on a weekly basis on Raw or SmackDown? You see him doing anything on Raw or SmackDown that's believable? Honestly, Shane, Jay.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I was doing some research so I can shade Des.
I said, do you honestly see him being on Raw or SmackDown every week and doing something meaningful? Do you see him winning a belt or something like that? Like, do you really believe in this character? Like, or am I bugging out?
He, him, who? Who, Ridge?
That's who I've been talking about this whole time. Yes.
No, I don't see him doing. I don't see him doing anything SmackDown or Raw worthy. Leave your ass right here in NXT and build your character up, build yourself up on here before you make that premature jump like that. Build your shit here first, dude, and then you would advance.
Well,
I'm
I'll
sorry.
say.
Period.
Well, we caught the period. I'm gonna just say that his peak was working with Sheamus, and that's about it. That's all I gotta say about it. Don't go.
No, you definitely got your points in on him because it's hard to see him as anything right now. So I think he's gonna be in development at least maybe for the next 2 years because he needs to develop what he is and who he's about. So maybe this was meant for him to take the step back. So let's see. You probably are right. He could be a fixture of the cuts, budget cuts, just because they might not have nothing for him later, and pretty much a lot of the guys already in NXT are built. So excuse
And
me for a second.
and, and you see that new management doesn't have they don't have patience. They don't care who you are, how long you've been working with WWE, what you've done. If you're not doing anything right now and you're on the payroll and you're getting paid and you're not doing anything, you're done. TKO has made that very clear with the cuts that they made with Dolph Ziggler and Shelton Benjamin.
Huh, we actually hear that your dog agrees, Des.
Unfortunately, yes. It must be a dog hour right now, but
Oh no, that's my dog.
no, it's my dog too. Not just your dog, my dog too. I don't know what's going on right now. There must be something going on outside that we don't hear.
It's 11 o'clock, so they're acting up.
But mine stopped. I told her to shut up, so she shut up. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the Ridge thing. I don't know what their angle is. I don't know. Eventually, are they going to find somebody to come to his defense? Because obviously, this is a story now, and it's going to be something that's going to drag on. To probably stand and deliver, which is, I believe, their WrestleMania or whatever like that. So we'll see how this goes, Jay.
So, quick question, Des: is it fair to say then that Ridge is better as either a tag team or part of a fraction rather than a solo wrestler?
The thing is, he was a part of a faction and a tag team when he had those incidents on SmackDown with Big E and Homeboy from Pretty Deadly. So that turned me off right there. I'm like, yo, you keep hurting people, like legitimately hurting people. It's like, okay, maybe he does need to go back to NXT. I'm like, all right, cool. He's back in NXT again, and maybe he just needs to work on the basics or something like that. Um, I mean, we didn't see much of him as a singles competitor anywhere else. I didn't follow him before he went to the main roster, so this is the first time I witnessed him as a singles competitor. Besides the match that he had with Dragunov when he hurt him, but that was kayfabe. But yeah, so I can't really say as far as his singles career because I've never really seen it. But we already saw him as a tag team with Butch They were pretty good. And then we saw them as a faction with Sheamus and Butch, the Brawling Brutes. They were pretty good as well, but yeah, time will tell. What do you think, Shane?
I actually liked them with the Brawling Brutes. I liked the chemistry that all three of them had because it was like when they came, even Cole said that it's fight night, and they showed it. It was just that chemistry, and it's almost it's almost as if you're looking at New Edition and you say, well, how can New Edition continue without Bobby Brown? And you bring in, you know, you bring in oh damn, I'm starting to lose my head. But y'all know who I'm talking about. That
Right,
came in
right,
to
right.
replace Bobby Brown. But yeah, I see him more, or rather, I enjoyed him more with the Brawling Brutes fraction than a solo artist. And especially now with him being a solo artist, he's on this whole, you know, trying to prove everyone wrong thing and trying to prove that he can be a good solo artist. But I miss him as part of that fraction just because of that chemistry he had.
He's definitely lost in the shuffle. I ain't gonna lie. But like I was saying before, this is good for him and his character to see where he's at. And probably Hunter didn't see too much from him and realized probably breaking them up because Sheamus been out for a minute that maybe is best for all three because now we could get some of Butch and Butch is now going to change. So for Rich to get demoted is a good thing because he really didn't get the NXT run that he was supposed to have because, like I said before, he was fighting in UK, so we didn't see none of this like that. And when they were showing us the UK episodes, he was barely on TV. He fought Coffee, yeah. He fought Gunther way back when Gunther was champ. But other than that, we ain't get too much of Ridge and who he is. So I'm gonna give him time to see what he can build up to down the line in the future. Des, play the voice note. And good evening and happy late night to you, Madison. Thank you for listening in tonight.
Hey yo, that NXT, that's some bullshit. I'd rather watch indie motherfucking show from Nebraska, some bullshit, than watch this NXT bullshit. What the hell is this shit, man? I'd rather watch the Golden Girls in this bitch. Some good shit.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Madison, look, I'll say this. NXT, if you ain't been watching it, don't watch it at all, my guy. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna tell you because we're watching the next generation of wrestlers. And if you don't like the next generation, when they get to the main roster, then that just tells me it's not something you should be watching at the moment because we here at Three Bills, we love watching our wrestling regardless of who it is and who's wrestling. You feel me? But I thank you on that voice note and kudos
Yes.
to whatever you're smoking. Kudos to whatever you're smoking because I want some of that. Pass it.
Yes. Thank you
Des?
very much. Thank you very much for your voice note. Again, maybe NXT is not your cup of tea, but it is part of the development of WWE and its main roster. So we do appreciate the fact that you're still here and the fact that you did send a voice note. So thank you very much, and thank you for that laugh as well. I was laughing mainly at your cough. It sounded like you were dying off of some good stuff. So that made me laugh because I miss it. So yeah, enjoy. Back to you, Jay.
Okay, now. So, we had two segments in between after that fight. The NXT Anonymous, which was catching the women talk in the background. And then they went like on a commercial, and Kalani Jordan promo came on where she's talking about becoming champ. And then here comes this little hyper girl next to her, like, yeah, 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 you're gonna win. Let's fight. Let's display our energy out there in the ring. And when old girl leaves out the ring, and when old girl leaves, she's like, wow, this girl's energetic. Woo. You know, and that led into another promo, which is like three promos in a row with Corbin and Braun. And that to me was one of the most hilarious segments I've ever seen Baron Corbin in because he never displays his humor at all. He's mainly serious 99% of the time. And he asked he asked Braun, what's the name of the group? And when Braun said Wolf Dogs, he looked at him and he was like, what? What type of name is Wolf Dogs? Because he had to make sure he went back and told him. And you see Braun was skipping everything he was saying until Baron was like, come on, what you really said? And he said, Wolf Dogs. And then he mentioned the part about being in the shower. And Corbin is like, what? You looking at me in the shower now? You could try to take a shower with me? Come on, boy. Chill down. So Corbin asked him for an even better name and to think of it on the spot because he's the brains of the group. And he says, Wild Boars. Holy moly, what a name that I didn't even expect to come out of his mouth. And at the same time, if you peeped the leather jacket that he had on, it was an old school type Steiner Brothers jacket from back then. And I'm like, oh, snap. Did he really borrow the jacket and just write something on it? Or did he just ask the family, like, look, can I come out with a leather coat similar to y'all? What do you guys think about this tag team and the future for them two? Do you see them fighting one another, or do you see them actually, winning tag belts and, having a bright future together? Des?
Their dynamics are hilarious because of the fact that they're the same but different. I enjoyed that that promo with them. It was hilarious. Corbin's like, so wait, you're thinking about me when you're in the shower? Like, bro, what? Like, bro, don't do that. And then the fact that for some reason I feel like I don't know if they're gonna be allowed to do it, but for some reason I feel like their tag name is gonna be the Assholes or something like that because everything keeps coming back to the fact that they're both assholes. And I don't know. I don't know how they can spin that or how they make that work, but I like the team. And Jay, we already agreed from the beginning, from jump. We said that they were going to win the Dusty Cup, so that's still my pick. And I believe that they're going to wind up being NXT champions and go a long way with that because you know Corbin came back to NXT for a reason. Braun has not been pushed up to the main roster for a reason, and I think what better way than to have the both of them as NXT Tag Champions moving forward. Um, I think that they have a bright future ahead of them for sure, definitely. Um, Jay,
I don't know why
Which one's
I'm
on?
curious, but we have a voice message. So okay if we play it?
oh, I read it, so yeah, I mean, you can play it. I read it already, so Jay,
I mean, is it worth playing if since you read it?
I mean, it actually shows that
That,
somebody has some knowledge in WWE, so I would say yes. It's not my show though.
I don't know how to play it, so
I got
I'm
you,
Jay,
brother.
illiterate of the group.
I got you. I got you, Jay. This is from Madison again. Madison says,
Listen. Tell me, okay? Tell me who's this future Hall of Famer, future superstar, future wrestler you call that's going to be the transcending, the next, what? Miz? The next Dolph Ziggler? The next Brodus Clay? The next Jinder Mahal? Who in the hell does NXT have to offer? Really?
well, the Miz part is the reason why I was like, yeah, play it because I'm like, my guy, the GOAT. But but you see somebody that does have some type of knowledge of WWE. But too bad Madison is no longer in the group, so I don't know if you guys still want to address that or not. But I just found it cool.
I mean, it seems to me that he does have knowledge of at least SmackDown and Raw, but he's just not a fan of NXT. And what he's trying to say is who on NXT would
Shame,
match with all the guys
shame,
he mentioned. Is that what I got?
shame. They,
Des,
they, they,
Des.
Shame. Not he, they, them. Don't get us
Well,
canceled.
how do we know that? Like that could be, for all we know, that could be like his wife or his girlfriend or daughter, whatever. I don't want to automatically make an assumption unless you tell me who you are.
I understand, but the name at the bottom of the picture was kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, it said Madison Thick, and it was a thick
I was
person.
just
It was a picture of a thick person.
I
So
was
when they
expecting
first
a
said the
woman.
voice, I said, "Oh shit!"
I can't. We won't finish. I mute So,
Oh my God. Thank you to Bridges of Madison County with that voice note. Yeah. On to the next one. We had some Chase U versus LWO in another Dusty Cup match. That match was crazy. Excuse me. There was too much back and forth action from both teams. I didn't expect Osborne to fight with the MVP of Chase U. I didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna be Chase and the other guy. So this is different now because probably they're not seeing too much from Chase. Probably JC Jane pulled that string and said, "Look, Chase, you can't cut it out for the group, so let the next man try." You know, and he was all right. He did his thing. And shout out to LWO showing off their skill. Joaquin Wild, that flying tornado DDT that he did through the ropes was bananas. I didn't expect that because any further that he would have went, his head would have went crashing right into the desk table, and that would have been an accident from hell. You know, that to me was probably like the second or third best match of the night because it was similar to how the Mellow match went, where we just got fast paced, high flying, jumping jelly bean match that we as fans will want to see. And you can see within the NXT universe, there's not a big crowd, but they interact practically through every match. They got their little calls for the wrestlers that are different from the main roster. Like I was catching like maybe last week with Lyra Valkyria. You know, when she fights singles, the crowd will do her chant while she's fighting. So not a chant, but her intro. That then and whoop whoop, the crowd would do that for her. So going back to this match, it was definitely a 4 out of 5 star match just because it was a match that kept you on your feet. You know, what do you guys think about LWO going forward? Do you guys believe in them, or do you see a split up sometime with the group? Are you guys confident, Shane?
I don't see them splitting up anytime soon. I mean, because like you said, and like you always say for some reason, whenever we talk about the LWO, you said jelly bean. What are you gonna say next? Goya, Spanish rice, palaros, coño. That is so racist. Anyway, I totally see them staying together because this is what WWE needs. We need our Latinos, just like we have our blacks, and just like we're about to have our Indians. Well, our Indian is shining, so we need that. We need that diversity. My only question still is how did that sexy as Lena Vega get bagged by that Malachi Black? You gotta explain that to me. How in the world did he bag such a bad chick like that? Because their two personalities are like, woof.
Lord have mercy. Lord be with us and cover this podcast because Shane is going to get us kicked off. Shane, in this day and age, you have to say Native American. Bro, Native American. You see, Washington changed their name for a reason. We can't say that word, bro. Ain't going to get us kicked off.
Say what word?
You said the I word. I'm not going to repeat the I word, but that's what you said. I'm not going to repeat it. It's Native American.
Yeah, well, Jinder Mahal and his boys, they are not Native Americans. They're from India. That's why I said Indian.
I don't know because I took it as you were referring to the other guys that we saw on the program who showed that they were Native American. So I don't know, that word is very scary. But anyway,
Well, what Native American athletes we have, or Native American in the WWE that we have?
NXT,
um,
NXT they showed us the Trey Bear whole guy, which was the next match, and the other dude that he was talking to in the background. They're clearly both of them are Native Americans because their tribes and everything of that nature. But that's besides the point at this right now. The match. This was my third top 3 match of the 6 matches that we got tonight. I was very, very impressed with LWO and Chase U. Jay, unless you forgot, we witnessed last Tuesday where Homegirl basically told Chase that he was not participating in the match this week, and he would be subbed in for that young dude. And I was very impressed with both LWO and Chase U. They put on a hell of a match. This is the most I've seen out of these guys as far as LWO, because while when Ray was in it, LWO was mainly Santos and Ray heavy, and the other two just played the background with Zelina. But actually seeing them perform and be the lead people, it was very refreshing. I think NXT is the best place for LWO as far as those two guys right now, because they're allowed to show all of their potential. It's not like them being on SmackDown where it's like, okay, it's going to be a quick match and they're not going to get the W because of storyline wise. But for NXT, I think this is the best place for those two, because they can become bigger stars in the tag team division. I was blown away by it. And like I wrote in the chat, that DDT was off the chains. Definitely a big spot for the match. And I think the right team won, as far as because of the fact that they are main roster guys as well as NXT performers. But then as far as the storyline with Chase U, they're in turmoil and everything right now. So L would be perfect for them, because now they have to go back to the drawing boards and figure stuff out. But LWO moving on, I think that was great. And I actually look forward to the next match. I believe, Jay, you said that they are bracketed to go up against Trick and Mello next, which would be, to me, if they both teams bring the same energy that they brought tonight, they can possibly take match of the night at the next NXT showing. Like, I was literally impressed, fully impressed with LWO tonight, and they should be very proud of themselves. And I'm gonna give them a clap, because I really was just in awe of it. Like I said, that's my third best match of the night out of the 6 that we got.
I really like the way you just said it was spot on. I really think that match next week has potential to be match of the year candidate for them, for NXT itself. And it's real early in the year, and we want to see the action that they're gonna display next week. It's like me, I'm already hyped up for it, because I want to see more jumping jelly beans. We're gonna go from jelly beans to Goya beans mixed with some black eyed peas next week, and it's gonna be bananas. You know, it might even be Jiffy popcorn time, where it's gonna be preheat, turn it on, and pop, 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 pop. It's gonna be move after move after move, and where guys might not even be able to turn around because we might miss something. It's gonna be a great match next week. I'm looking forward to it. You know, and then like literally right after that match, we had a little promo segment with Adriana Rizzo, and you know the boys in the back were just letting her know, like, because she seemed kind of nervous. It was her debut match, and we only got her in a Rumble in her debut. So, it was kudos to them to calm her down, let her know things were going to be all right. And, you know, congrats on getting your feet wet. And after that, prior to the next match, which was Bear Hill and Dijak, Gacy was sitting ringside next to Booker and old boy, and he had the throwback jacket, blazer, fire. I thought that was perfect for him, because Gacy seems like the type of guy that when you was young back in the days, you would turn the little ringer around, and a little pop up clown with the little two hands pop out and go punch. Gacy seems like one of those guys who comes right out the box and just does whatever, and it's working for him. We as fans, we're like, wait a minute, where is this going with Gacy? But he's showing us something different, and I'm, like we mentioned maybe a month or two ago, that Gacy gives us Kevin Owens vibes, but at the same time, he's a dark guy looking for the light. So, it was a good way to lead into that match. And it was my first time really getting to see Bear Hill's wrestling skills against Dijak. He's a very hard hitting guy. Needs to tune up a little bit more, because Dijak was on the main roster and he flopped. I feel Dijak is in the same bracket as Rich Holland, towards where, like, why do you come to the main roster and flop and come back down and you're still flopping? You know, Dijak is not Dijak that I first saw when I was watching NXT because he used to come in and the crowd used to love him because he always used to put his two index fingers together and be like dot your eyes and then finish, and then when he does his finisher he'll do the same thing, dot your eyes and do it and do it and do, and it seems like they called him up prior to the retribution. Once the retribution thing started happening, and I felt that killed any momentum that Dijak had because that wasn't made for him to be in a group. You know, kudos to him on winning that match and beating Bear Hill, but it to me was one of those matches that could have had more. But it seemed like it was kind of pushed, and it was good that Gacy came and jumped Dijak from behind. So it's like with Gacy, what do we think of him as far as is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? You know, he's yin yang with who he is right now. And then after they got out the ring, Lexus King came and jumped on Bear Hill and told him, "You took my spot. This was supposed to be me." And like, come on, you're holding. You know, you lost the tournament. You're trying to find your way. So now you're gonna pick on the new guy while you're still the new guy. And let's see what happens now with him because he could get sidetracked in all of this. But I don't want him to be sidetracked. You know, like I said, that match was pretty much stale until the end. What was your guys' thoughts on that match, Des?
Well, Jay, um, your diatribe was pretty long, so I don't know exactly what you want me to say after that. You done said everything that happened. Uh, you done took my
Look, look, look,
point
look. I was
about
okay.
reminding me of KO. Um, really wasn't much match to talk about, so I think you already said everything that I would have said. So, yeah,
What are your thoughts on Dijak then? Do you feel he's a main player, or do you feel he's going to be in that Ridge conversation?
I don't know him, so I mean, I don't believe he was on the show last week or the week before, so I'm not familiar with him. Uh,
Exactly my point. They never really displayed him when he was on Retribution. They gave him no shine. That's why I'm asking you. What are your thoughts about him? Like, do you think he even has a future within the next year or so in the company?
I don't know what retribution is, so I don't know exactly where you were going with that because I'm not.
Retribution is the group that was with Ali, Mace, and him. You don't remember that group?
Was that something that was on the main roster? Or was that something that was on NXT?
Yeah, that was they was on the main roster when Ali was doing that bull crap when Mace had the mask on and he was his tag team partner, and then after that they broke him up and then tried Mace with Mac with LA Knight when they became like the flowers
I,
of
I
wrestling.
I yield my time to Shane. Shane, take it over, bro.
Yeah, dude, don't you remember Retribution? They came like out of nowhere doing that whole COVID era in the WWE. Is that what that was, Jay? And it was like out of nowhere, these guys came with these masks on and it just rose hell all over the place. And then that's when it was revealed that Ali was part of them. Yeah, Retribution. I remember the logo and everything. You don't remember that, Des?
It probably came and went so fast that I don't remember it. Especially if it was during COVID, we had a lot more going on in our lives in the world. So if it happened so quickly, I apologize, everyone. I don't remember.
It's all good, bro. Well, Shane, what do you think about Dijak? Do you think there's a future for him?
I want to. Well, I'm there with Des in terms of not really knowing him. So I need to see more of him. The match that he had tonight, I like seeing matches like that where you got two big, strong guys that's like just pounding back and forth. You need more improvement? Sure, we all do. Could have been worse? Absolutely. Worse to a point where you could have got injured. But all in all, it was an okay match. And I would like to see more of him. I want to see what more he can bring. I want to hear his mic skills. I want to see his backstage interviews. I want to see what he can bring besides hard hits. If you can hit that mic as hard as you hit them faces, then we can talk.
What I would like to say is the only thing I remember of Dijak was I believe he had like a short feud with Baron Corbin at some point last year. Um, that was leading towards whoever was going to face. I forget the story, but I believe. Am I wrong, Jay? Is that the same guy? He had like some type of run-in with Baron Corbin last year before, and they had a match at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was literally when Corbin was getting his feet wet in NXT. That's definite, because basically, like with Baron Corbin, he's testing everyone out. He's probably the guy in NXT that goes back and lets guys know whether or not they deserve a call up or they should stay there with them. And Dijak, I'll tell you guys both from my side of it, I don't think he's a primetime player anymore. He's already tried before, and this is his second time in NXT, so you know, I don't think there's anything there for him at all. I feel the way you feel with him. I mean, with him, and it's the same thing as like Rich. We don't know about them, and they could probably be xed out soon. But leading into the next segment, the millionth segment of the night, JBL was in the background talking with Briggs, and he told Briggs, "Look, I handpicked you over everybody else because I was the god at one time, and I want you to discover who you really are and to know who you are as a wrestler because I want you to be that guy." I felt that was great advice that he was giving him because, you know, we see that the old school guys from the aggression era, ruthless aggression era, are pushing guys like them to excel. To me, this is motivation for Briggs. And I can see probably by the end of the year, Briggs being NXT champion because he's going to learn everything from JBL since he already has the clothesline and he's a country man, same way like JBL, you know? And then the next segment, literally after that, was another Trick and Mellow thing. And basically, Trick was like, yeah, we should be this, we should be that. And you could still see Mello like, yeah, please, you're not gonna get this because I might poop on you, right? I might poop on you. I'll mess this all up for you. You could just see Mello ruining everything and the momentum for Trick down the line. What you guys thought on that segment?
Yeah, I was looking at Melo's face that whole time because Trick was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna of course it's about the tag team, but imagine if I had that and the heavyweight championship. And yeah, you could get your thing too. But what about me? Like that's what I got from Trick from that segment. We got this, we got this. But what about me? Yeah, you cool. What about me? And Melo was standing there like he gave the rock eyebrow, was like, huh? Huh? Like he caught all of that, but he didn't fully let Trick know that he caught that, but he caught it and he just put it in his Rolodex. I'm telling you, there was a whole lot of nuggets that was going on today that feeds into this whole thing that Mello is cooking up. So it was very interesting to see that as like the final element of the night. It was very interesting to be continued on that.
Well, for me, clearly I missed the first segment in the back with Trick, Mello, and Dragunov. I didn't see that, so you guys actually put that, painted that picture for me. So to me, I thought this was the first time that they had a backstage promo, and what I got out of it was when Trick mentioned that he would be the first ever person to hold the NXT World Title and the Tag Team Championship belt at the same time, is when Mello was like, "Wait, hold up." And he thought about it. He's like, "Wait, what?" But then he mentioned, he said, "But you would also become a Grand Slam champion in NXT." So, like you said, Shane, that's just something else that's just stirring up in this story. But now that I think about it, I have a question for you guys. Um, do you think that Melo would actually rather have Trick win the NXT title so that he can get another chance at the NXT championship with, going against his best friend versus trying to beat Dragunov again, who he seems to not be able to beat without help. Triple J and then Shane.
Woo, boy. I could see that, bro. I could see Melo helping Trick win, or to make it like the party crash and just be like, yo, I'll beat you up like after the match and you celebrating type stuff. I definitely could see that. And where, in the grandest stage of them all for NXT, which would be Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend, I could see that because they're in the city of brotherly love and they're two guys that got that brother relationship, big brother, little brother. So for sure, I could definitely see them two fighting for the belt at Stand and Deliver, and the crowd goes bananas for Trick because Trick will prevail and win in my eyes, barring any cheating from Melo. And like after that, I could see Melo fully branching off into SmackDown and leaving NXT alone after that match because Trick still has some work to do in NXT. Sugar
Well,
Shane?
well, hold on. That was actually going to be my follow-up question after Shane spoke. So you already got ahead of the game. You must be in my head. So I was going to ask after Shane answered, see Melo just being moved up to the main roster after that last match, WrestleMania weekend. But Shane, you can still answer the initial question. You can answer that one as well.
Okay, because I was listening to Jay and I'm saying to myself, so wait a minute. So he has this match with Trick. Okay, so it's my understanding that at this table, Jay and Dez, that you both believe that on a one-on-one match between Trick and Mello, Trick will win.
I'm
Hands
saying
down.
I'm saying yes for reasons of the fact that Melo would be finally moved up to the main roster because they've been putting him on the main roster a lot recently, more than anybody else from NXT, and it would just make sense. Triple H always did a big match for those people who were being called up, and especially for the fact that they owe us for that debacle of a Raw after Mania. So I think that yes, for storyline purposes, for Trick to finally be on his own and be his own guy, and to know that he's the best, I think yes.
So Trick wins the title for NXT and Mello goes to Raw or SmackDown. Wouldn't that be almost like Trick going, well, wait a minute. Why does he go to the why does he go to the big dog labels and I'm still here?
Well, now you're putting it as a Bailey situation where everyone but Bailey got called up to the main roster, but she was still champion. But I'm looking at it as Trick's main goal is to be NXT champion. Melo's been there, he's done that, and he's already gotten a taste of being on the main roster and performing on the main roster. He performed on Raw and he performed on SmackDown last year as well. So it's just a matter of time for him to be called up, and for him to, if anything, they could spin it and make it look as if Trick was the reason why Melo is no longer on NXT because he can't beat him. So he went to find a better way, to become a champion or whatever like that in WWE. My thoughts.
I'm just trying to, because like I said, I'm not really familiar with these two, although I do like this storyline. And then at the end of it all, I see them two like separated or maybe even become enemies because of the fact that there's just such good friends, if that's what you want to call it. And then something happens that breaks them up, that makes them into enemies. To me, that enemy clash is so heavy because of their history, as opposed to just two people who was going for the same thing and they're going head to head after that. There's a lot of emotion that's going on here, that's clashing here. So I'm just trying to understand, like, the end result. Are we going to be tag team champions? Is Trick going to be a triple title Trick? Or maybe Mello might be the triple title. Or it's maybe possible that they both could be tag team, and then one would be the NXT champ, and then the other would be, I don't know, the North American champ, and then you have like that, almost like that Judgment Day thing where you guys is like the undisputed, if you want to call it that. But but yeah, yeah,
Shane, Shane,
sir,
do you remember the tag team? Two dudes with attitudes?
that sounds familiar.
That was Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Before Diesel went on his championship run, they were tag team champions. Then they lost it, and he became to be bigger than who he was. And then Michaels turned on him. This is why I keep on saying every week, every time, this kind of gives me the Shawn Michaels and Diesel vibes between the two guys. Are you guys kind of seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, or y'all seeing something different?
Well, I'll pick it up from there. Again, I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. This ain't no Shawn Michaels and Diesel full-on feud. Only because of the time of the year that it is. Like I said, I'll stick with the fact that somehow, some way, Trick wins the belt. Um, and then it goes on to a story between Trick and Mello leading into their WrestleMania for NXT. But again, I see Mello possibly getting called up to the main roster. He has to have his swan song, and why not? In all reality, if they're real friends outside of the business, why not have your last match in NXT be against your best friend, and your best friend being put over? Because to me, in recent years, Trick is the only NXT champion that I know of. So why not have him be put over by Trick to have a run for the rest of this year, and being put over by Mello, and then Mello go on to you know the main roster and basically start from the beginning, but yet everyone knows him.
Shane?
This could go so many ways, and something that just came up to my head as Des was talking. This is just like out of pocket because you're saying Trick between Mello. In a Trick's head, he has this mentality of, oh, Mello beating me, yeah, right. That's never gonna happen. I can beat him, with my hands tied behind my back and my eyes closed. So he is stepping into a fight with him with that mentality. Already have this match won. Meanwhile, Mello is peeking everything. He peeps everything on the cut. He sees everything. He hears everything that he is saying. So he has this mentality, huh? So what Mello is doing or could do is feed off of that and use his intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, Trick may be a little stronger than you, but you're stronger than Trick at this moment because he is so focused on the fact that you cannot win that there's a possibility that you can win if you outsmart him. If Melo outsmarts Trick, go over his head with this whole bully mentality, maybe it is possible that Melo can be Trick. Am I making sense what I'm saying?
No, you are. You make sense. And while you were saying what you were saying, I thought of another scenario, and y'all tell me if my scenario that I just thought of is crazy or not. But what if they actually do win the Dusty Cup? Trick wins the world title, and they win the tag titles. Right now, you have from the end of this month until April, and where they're tag champions, he's the NXT champion, and blah blah blah, and then somehow, some way, they lose the tag titles, which causes a rift between the two of them, which leads to now Mello wanting a title shot because of Trick, he's no longer the champion or something like that, and then it leads to Stand and Deliver, where it's Trick versus Mello, and then we'll go with the story that I already put out there, where Trick beats him, and then Mello gets called up to the main roster that either on Raw or on SmackDown that following week. Is that too far fetched, Jay? Since we haven't heard from you, bro.
I don't think it's too far fetched. I think all of the points that are being said between you two guys, I think that's great thoughts because we can see any type of scenario happening amongst those two guys. Like, I could see, like you said, them winning the titles. But I would see Melo gloating because he's gonna be like, yeah, I became Triple Crown first before you, and he might ruin the night for Trick. I could see something like that happening, and Trick not winning till I'm standing deliver for the belt because you know Melo feels it's all his. You're not supposed to get anything. You're my 1998 sidekick 3. That's what you are to me. I can easily turn you on. I can easily turn you off. Melo is a master manipulator in what he's doing with Trick. And he's telling him like, bro, focus on the tag titles. Don't focus on Ilya. Don't he's already putting shit into his head. He's drilling them already. So, you know, this scenario is gonna go in the direction that probably goes upside down and around everything that we're talking about right now. Sugar, take it off.
Did you just call me sugar? What is this? The
Sugar
color
Shane.
purple?
Sugar Shane.
What am I, Sugar
Two.
Avery? What am I singing in the bar for tips? What's going on here? What's going on here? No, but you know what? Not for nothing, and believe it or not, I am going to agree with Des. That is a very interesting take, and it would be very interesting to see everything that he just said. Yeah, believe it or not, I do believe what and agree what Des just said because that that is a good road towards the end because I don't see these guys being like friends ever again because of all of this shade that's going on back and forth and all of this little hints and backstabbing moves here and there going on, like case in point, Trick actually wanting to go for this championship title in the season of them trying to win the tag teams, almost like pushing Mello to the side. So yeah, I absolutely agree with Des Mundo, aka Destaker, aka.
Well, thank you very much for agreeing with me, Shane O'Mac. Jay, back to you, man.
Took a
And
lot out
yes,
of me, but yeah, I did it.
you said enough to Mr. Mundo. Oh my God. Overall, we pretty much covered all of NXT and talked about, pretty much what's coming up and what our thoughts in the future and everything. I know Friday night we have SmackDown, and what are your guys' early thoughts coming into this episode on Friday?
Let's hear what the host of SmackDown has to say.
Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I know I'm gonna be wow, something that I haven't thought of is going to happen. I mean, it's going to have to happen because there's only but so much that's going on. I mean, they only told us about the contract signing and then the KO show, which he's going to be interviewing Logan Paul. And it actually they just started showing the official match at Royal Rumble for the U.S. title between Logan Paul, our U.S. champion, and Kevin Owens. So it should be an interesting SmackDown with the interview and interesting contract signing moving forward so that we can see exactly who to keep our eyes on, especially with that four-way match, who to keep our eyes on. Who's going to be that guy that's going to try to put the most damage on Roman? So this is to be continued.
For me, yeah, I do look forward to the contract signing between the Fatal 4-Way match for Royal Rumble. Um, I'm very interested in seeing what the next step is for Bobby and Friends and what is it? The final element. I forgot the name already, but AOP and Karrion Kross. I would like to see what the next step is with them. Um, I would love to see what the next step is with Bayley and Damage Control, how that's going, because again, I am very disappointed in Damage Control for not assisting Bayley last week against Bianca Belair. That was a BS excuse that they gave her. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. Um, I'm looking forward to see if what we predicted actually happens, whether Logan Paul shows up to the Kevin Owens show or not. Again, my prediction was that he doesn't, and he just sends in a video, and somehow, some way, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they attack him during that segment. So it's a lot to look forward to because it is SmackDown. They got to get to everything quickly, especially when we have the bloodline in full effect. They take up a lot of time. So that's my take on that. Jay?
By the way,
Well,
the
I'm
name of
looking.
that group, I'm sorry, I wanted to say to Des, the name of that group is not Final Element, it's Final Test. See, now you got me stumbling. The Final Testament.
And look, I called them Final Destination last week. Look, so
Oh my God.
forgive me. It's very new. It's very.
Yeah, let's just call them the Final Pride. How about that?
Are you serious? So we're gonna mix Bobby and Friends with Dawn? Oh God, that's bad Kool-Aid right there. Really bad juju. But I'm looking forward to everything that's gonna be going on SmackDown because during the contract signing, I want to see who's gonna take the first, who's gonna take the lead role out the from the three opponents that Roman's facing. I want to see who takes that first step into making the first move. Like, does AJ make the first move on Randy? Does LA Knight hit AJ? Does Randy hit LA Knight? There's so many ways that little beef can start amongst them three. You know, I'm looking forward to that, and I do think Logan Paul's gonna appear and get a sucker punch in on Friday because I definitely feel like he needs some type of momentum going into this because KO already has some momentum. I see the punch this Friday happening, and I hope it's not bloodline heavy. I hope that's just at the end, and we can see the other so-called participants in the Rumble. Maybe we can see a couple of new faces pop out and say, "Look, we're in it," because we got Bobby's announcement of it last week. So, maybe a couple of more guys will call out their names and say, "Hey, you're part of it now." So for sure, I'm looking out for those things as well. And I just hope it's a night that has us like, ooh, and ah, for the whole 2 hours, and at least one happy segment where we're laughing, dying, because we don't got no R-Truth on there. But the Judgment Day could possibly show up since they're tag champions. We might get a dose of some R-Truth on Friday. You never know. So, these are things I'm looking forward to. And hey, the road to Royal Rumble is right around the corner. And this is like my favorite time of the year because it's like an all-star game for me. We get to see the finest and the best do what it do. And it's just all of our basic favorites coming out one by one, surprising us, doing things we've never seen before. It's a time to be happy and happy being a WWE fan. Guys, what's your thoughts on what I'm saying, or you guys ready to wrap this one up?
Shane?
Des?
My night passed, bro. Friday is all you. So what else?
Guys,
What else you got to say about your night, bro?
The only thing left to say about my night is to tune in on Friday for our SmackDown recap live Friday right here on stereo at 10:15 p.m.
And I'll say I'll be there. I won't be square, and I'll be ready to knuckle up on Friday. You understand that? Because Destaker will be in the building. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
and solo J. Cole will be in the building. Shout out to everybody that's been listening tonight. I see you FG in the background listening. I appreciate that. God bless to everybody.
Faye,
And
yes, Faye. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Faye. That's
how did you just cut me off there, Des? Come on
I
now.
apologize, but
You,
I
you
wanted.
already
I'm
started you
look,
already
look.
starting taker mode early. This is
Yeah, I
what you're doing.
apologize. But look, you got to
You're
get my
putting on the
best.
gloves and
You got to get my bestie's name correct. I already know who that is. I wanted to make sure that I shouted out my best friend. Okay, get it right or don't say it at all. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you see this Shane, right? He just put the gloves and his jacket on. All he needs to do is put on his hat, and you see that he's fully in taker mode right now. Started early. Solo
Yeah,
J Cole is coming for
aka
that ass.
aka Shade Taker, because that's what he does. He interrupts you and then goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then he says what he says and then throws shade as a way of saying I'm sorry,
Not a
and
period.
how you were supposed to
Period.
have known
I think
that
I
he.
hear a period. 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 Period.
No, you came with a comma literally behind me. So there was no period there. It was a nice exclamation point, comma, beep. I'm gonna get you Friday.
I'll be
Look
there.
at you.
I'll be
It's
there.
gonna be it's gonna be a double clothesline followed by a power bomb on Friday.
And I'm gonna sit right
Shane,
on up.
Shane, we're gonna have to bury him alive on Friday. You already know what that means. Get the shovels ready.
Shane knows his role on Friday. He better sit there and moderate and shut the hell up.
As a moderator, I would do whatever I need to do, just like you do your do on Raw, and just like Jay does his do on NXT on Tuesdays. That's how it's always been. I don't have to be shady like you. Put on a good show. Jay doesn't have to be shady. We don't have to have our comments and our periods because we already know where they are. Like I said, a comment is on a sentence, and the period is something you get every month.
Okay. Okay. I'll see you on Friday, Shane. I'll see you on Friday. I'm gonna just leave it like that. I'm gonna see you on Friday. And
Oh
don't
man, you got it.
don't forget, when you step into the ring, your arms are too short to box with God. Cause I'm that moderator. I'm the creator. Understand that. All right? I'm out of here.
Looking forward to it, Shade Taker. See you on Friday.
And on that note, join us Friday night at 10:15, everybody. Live on stereo where we can basically serve you everything SmackDown. And what you hear is what you get, and we're gonna be live and uncut. Yeet.